So what is not getting done is the question. Are the routine inspections getting done? Are you getting regular rent reviews done? So you got to ask yourself those questions to save maybe $20 a week. Are you prepared to jeopardize your most valuable asset? So those are the things where a lot of landlords need to consider. And it does happen. They do tend to go for a cheaper agent, but it later results coming back to us in the end anyway.
Good day everyone, it's Tony here from the Mortgage Chat. Today I have a very dear friend of mine who I've known since the start of my business, Raza Khan, who is one of the biggest franchisers in the Raine and Horne network. Thanks for joining me today, Raza.
Thanks, Tony. Thanks for having me.
So Raz, mate, look, I've known you for a very long time.
Yep.
I know what you do.
Yep.
Right. So for the people that don't know you out there, people in the Hills area,
Sure.
in New South Wales,
Yep.
what do you do?
Okay, well, I'm the principal of Raine and Horne in Rouse Hill. Have been since 2016. So prior to that, I was in the Hawkesbury area at Raine and Horne at Windsor, where I pretty much learned the trade.
Yep.
And then moved out to the hills. So yeah, we've got two departments, so both sales and property management. So yeah, that keeps us going.
Yeah, mate, Hawkesbury area,
Yes.
back in the days.
Yes.
Eh?
Yes.
Now to the Hills area.
Yes, of course. So
Chalk and
Hawkesbury's
cheese.
where I learned everything, acreage and properties that are over 100 acres and stuff out of the Hawkesbury, to residential stuff, to smaller stuff. Selling out at Bly Park and McGrath Hill.
Yeah.
Down to the hills, and that's great. Loving it.
It would have been a hard slog back then, right? Before 2016.
Definitely.
Especially around that area.
Yeah, especially when I started, it was around the GFC, around 208, which was very, very tough at that time. Prices back then were only 250, 260.
And you still made $500,000 every year.
I wish. So it was a tough time. But it was good to learn the tough market.
Yeah.
Because it really just gives you that thickness to know that obviously the cycles that you can adapt to, and that was been the great thing. So with the ups and downs of the market now over the last 16, 17 years that I've been doing it, I've been able to adjust.
You sort of need to understand and cop the bad time to understand the whole cycle and make you better, right?
Correct.
In what you do.
100%. Every market you got to adjust.
Yeah.
You can't just be, thinking the market's always going to be good, because when things turn, you got to adjust pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So, and that's the great thing about, coming from those areas, that when it was tough, adjusting was important.
So you touched a bit to how you focus on two departments, the sales side and you got property management side, right? So I know for a fact you have one of the biggest property management books in the Hills area.
Correct.
Right. And that's been growing ever since you've taken over the business.
Correct.
Now you're actually 100% owner of the business as
So,
of recent. So congratulations on that.
Thank you. I bought my partner out last year. Actually, the anniversary was yesterday.
Yeah.
1 year anniversary. So which is great. So that happened a year ago. It is hard having two departments.
Yep.
Obviously trying to focus on both sales and property management. So basically it's just about what you put in the day.
Yep.
Try to have a good team around you, and then try to lead by example and hope that it all works out.
Yeah. Oh, cool. So, mate, everyone does sales, right? So let's not touch about sales too much.
Sure.
Okay. I think a lot of people that don't understand is the property management side of things, right? It's more like a given. Hey, I'm gonna engage into a property manager, and that's it.
Yeah.
Give or take, right? I have properties around Sydney. My parents have property around Sydney.
Yeah.
Right. We've dealt with different agents.
Yep.
Right. We've dealt with you.
Yep.
And we dealt with people. Let's call it Southwest area.
Yep.
Right. Oran Park, whatever you want to call it, and it's chalk and cheese.
Sure.
Right. Chalk as in you're not that great, right? But no, that way around, right?
Yeah.
So, so it's just so people just take that as what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, with property managers.
Yeah.
I want to get your better understanding from you. So, what is a bare minimum, I would say, that a vendor should expect from a property manager?
So the bare minimum you expect would be obviously transparency, communication, which is very, very important. Obviously being a property manager, a landlord needs to understand that they're giving that property to a manager that's going to be looking after one of their most valuable assets, besides maybe their family home, perhaps. And in doing so, they've got trust in that property manager to make sure they're looking after the property the right way, which includes, maintenance, which includes that the home is looked after by the tenant, that we have the right tenant in there to begin with, that routine inspections are being regularly done.
And how regular is that?
Well, you can go from anywhere between quarterly to 6 monthly.
Yeah.
No less than 6 monthly.
Yeah.
To be quite fair.
Yeah. But what would a stand be for a vendor? I mean, obviously, if I was a tenant,
Yep.
and I have someone coming to my house every 3 months
Correct.
to check, I'll be a bit ticked off.
Of course, and that's the thing, and that's why you don't want to lose those type of tenants, because
Correct.
you could have a gold tenant that pays their rent on time, is clean, the gardens are immaculate, it's the home presents really, really well, and to visit them every 3 months, it could also be borderline intrusive.
Yeah.
To a point where that tenant could think, well, I'm looking after the house, pretty well, and I'm always paying my rent on time, and to be bothered every 3 months, it could be a bit much.
Yeah.
So we don't want to lose those tenants. So those type of tenants, we go to either a yearly, cycle, 6 monthly cycle, or perhaps we might even go with a quarterly virtual inspection.
Right, and that'll be better, isn't it?
Yeah, so the tenant can go around taking photos and stuff like that and submit the report through our portal, and then we can prepare the report.
Yep.
So those are the things that we look at, but obviously it's case by case basis.
Yep.
Not every tenant's going to look after the home as well as you expect. So it all depends on the situation, whether we inspect quarterly or 6 monthly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for first-time buyers out there, let's talk about first-time investors or people that's ready to change their home into an investment and want to lease it out.
Yep.
Right. What sort of questions should they be asking, or what sort of research should they be doing? Right. In regards to finding the right property management company for them.
Very good. So firstly, you would want to have a look on portals such as Domain, realestate.com to see who's probably active in that area, and obviously contact those agents who have probably got the most signs. Number one. And number two, you would want to know the experience of the property manager. Property management can be an industry or a department where a lot of principals might navigate towards a junior, because obviously the cost is going to be a lot cheaper. From my point of view, I don't go for that type of style of property managers. I tend to go for people who have experienced, who I've mentored or trained before they go into that position as a property manager. So I think experience is very, very important. I think asking that question is, how long have you been in the industry for, is a very important question. You wouldn't want someone that's in the industry 12 months as a property manager looking after your most valuable asset. So it's very important that those questions are asked. And then from there, maybe the size of the portfolio is also important. Because some property managers may be looking after more than what they can handle. Which could be a red flag straight away as to how
overworked.
Underserviced. Those things.
And what's a good number?
I think anywhere between 150 to 200 properties.
Per property manager.
Per property manager is where it should be.
Are you referring to more a mixture of houses and townhouses and apartments?
Correct. Correct. Just all mixture of those in one portfolio. Correct. So anywhere between 150 to 200 is a sweet spot. I think if anyone's managing over 200 without any support, that portfolio could have some issues with it, whether it be lack of maintenance, lack of rent reviews, because obviously the rents are going up as everything else is. So that could be
like your salary.
Don't know about the salary part, but you know what I mean. Like things are going up.
Of course.
So you want to make sure that rent reviews are consistently done. So if a property manager isn't looking after that aspect of it, then you got to sort of question why,
And I agree with you, right? It's very important to have more experienced property manager, because I know with you guys, your property manager has been with for maybe over 3, 4, some even 5 years.
The longest one that's been with me is 8 years.
Who's that?
That's Karina. Karina's been with for 8 years. And then I've got another senior property manager. He's in his mid-60s. He's been in the industry over 30 years. And then I've got another one who's been over 10 years. And I've got Chloe, who's also on mat leave, has been with me for over 8 years as well.
And that's why you guys are one of the biggest.
Correct, because we tend to have that culture in our office where we all get on, we all have that when it's fun, but when it's time to get to work, we're there and ready to go. And I'm grateful that I've got a good strong team behind me.
Good. And let's touch a bit on rent increases, right? So obviously rates have gone up substantially the last 12, 14 months, right? And obviously as a vendor had to cop to soften a bit of that, we have to increase the rate, right?
Correct.
inflation's gone up, people's wages gone up, so our rent should go up as well.
Correct.
Right? It's standard.
Yep.
Okay. Have you noticed any delinquencies or people falling behind on rent because of this, increase in
Not
rent?
so much falling behind in rent,
Yep.
but so much vacating due to the increases.
Right.
They're trying to find other suburbs that perhaps are a bit cheaper.
Really?
In comparison to where they're living.
Okay.
So that's happening a lot. On the people falling arrears, it does happen, but it's always happened.
Yep.
Right? It's just...
But you haven't seen a big shift.
No,
That's what I'm
correct.
trying to say, yeah?
No, it's more people relocating.
Okay,
So
okay.
to go into cheaper areas and things like that. So
And you've actually seen that
Yes.
happen a lot
Yeah,
over the
a
last
lot.
6 months?
especially the last 12 months.
Really?
Yeah, since rates have gone up and rents are starting to go up,
Yep.
we've experienced that over the last 12 months that people are more relocating
Wow.
as opposed to, just sort of doing nothing about it and falling behind.
Yeah. So just so people don't get scared out there.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, yes, they're vacating because they're moving to a cheaper area.
Yep.
Are these properties getting snapped up straight away?
Definitely.
We're getting released?
Yes.
Okay. So it's not a problem.
It's funny. The rent increase might be $50 above their expected, their current rent.
Yep.
But when we actually go to market with these properties, once they vacate, we're actually getting $80 or $70 above
Wow, really?
the actual rent. So the market's a lot hotter in that regard.
Yeah. But do you think it's because of scarcity?
Correct. So there's low supply in the market,
Yep. Especially in the hills area?
especially in the hills, and there's high tenants out there that are looking. So
Yep.
the demand is quite high.
Yep.
So that's what's caused prices or rental prices to increase.
Because you predominantly look after the hills area. So let's call it Rouse Hill.
Yeah,
Rouse Hill?
maybe a 5-6K radius
Right.
from Rouse Hill.
So
Yeah.
pretty much everywhere you look after,
Yep.
like especially the houses are more for family people.
Correct.
Right. So you're seeing a lot more family people moving to the area to rent around the area.
Definitely,
Is that what you're saying?
definitely. Especially school catchments that are popular as well.
Right.
So those are things that people are looking for. School catchments. So basically, the metro is another one, which is good.
Yep.
All the amenities that we have in and around, Rouse Hill, at the Rouse Hill Town Centre.
Yep.
So there's various reasons why people come to the hills.
Yep.
It's a beautiful place to live, as we know.
Well, especially if a lot of the office workers that used to live in the city,
Correct.
right, can work from home.
Exactly right.
More than 50%.
Correct.
More than 50% of the time.
Correct.
Why would I pay? Let's call it $700 a week to rent a two-bedroom apartment for my family close to the city.
You can probably get a house for that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Out west.
Correct.
Right? And it takes me 40 minutes from the metro, from Rouse Hill to Chatswood.
Correct.
And in exchange, another, 15 minutes from Chatswood to Town Hall, Central, whatever you want to call it.
That's
Right?
it.
Or the bus.
Or the bus. You got the direct T-way as well. So we've got so many, various avenues of transport. It's made it a desirable place to live.
Good.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about one more question about, property management and what they do. Okay. How do you actually vet a potential tenant, when they put an application in to lease the property?
Okay, very, very good question.
Because look, like right now, if you have a property for rent, a house, let's call it 4-bedroom, 4-bedder in Rouse Hill, I guarantee there's about 15, 20 groups out there right now lining up,
100%.
fighting for it. Right?
100%.
How do you actually vet all that?
Okay, so there's an application process that each applicant will need to go through who is applying for a home. In that application are documents that we require. So number one would be obviously identification, which is quite important when we want to know who they are. So ID, we want to know their employment history. We want to know their employer, where they're working. We want to know get their pay slips. We want their bank statements to make sure that the pay slips match up with the bank statements.
Correct.
We would like...
So you're like a bank, mate.
Yeah, pretty much. We're doing a full credit check, to make sure we're looking after the landlord, So we're checking the pay slips, we're checking the bank statements, we're checking any rental history or their previous rental, where they're at the moment, their ledger, so that the ledger is important to see if haven't been in arrears.
But let me touch, before I forget, are you more favouring people that has rented a property?
Yeah, definitely.
Before?
I mean, those people, they're more proven.
Okay.
But that's not to say if you got a young couple moving out of home for the first time and, they've got together and they want their first rental property, we will still look at that as well. Okay. It's not going to be a deterrent, but we obviously will look at it on a case by case. And the other thing we would also do is a police check, which is through Ticker. So Ticker is a tenancy database. So which includes a police check, credit check, and it also does any bad names by another agency, that they've been blacklisted.
Okay.
So things like that. So it's very thorough.
So ticket is more a system that real estate uses.
Correct. Yeah. So you subscribe to it. So not everyone may not use it. So we subscribe to it and have access to the database, and we can put in the details of the tenant and find out the total history, if they've got any, been blacklisted by another agency in the past for non-payment of rent or damage to a property or things like that. That will all show that.
Okay.
It also, obviously, the police check part is also in there, credit as well. So we want to understand the tenant straight away. And then from that, we'll put that forward to the landlord. And then the landlord will make the final decision as to who they'll like to go with. So there could be 2 or 3 applications that come in. So they'll choose between that. There could be a young family, could be a couple, it could be an older sort of demographic. So it really depends on what the landlord is looking for as well. Yeah.
And let's talk about, when you first bought into the business at Rouse Hill.
Yes.
Okay. When was that? Back in 2016?
16, yep.
Right, you're one of my first clients.
I think you helped me out with that one.
I made you
Tony.
rich.
Yeah,
I made you rich. Right now, look, the rent roll. I remember the rent roll in Rouse Hill wasn't that big back then.
No,
it's probably grown substantially since then, since you've taken over. Because the back end. Yeah. I mean, have you seen a big shift? People that was living in, let's just call it Epping, Macquarie Park, inner city area where they were living in apartment townhouses, whatever you want to call it, slowly shifting to the hills area. Like Rouse Hill and all that area.
Yes, definitely. And I think as more the amenities came, that happened. That shift started to happen around that 2020 range, because obviously the metro didn't open until 2019.
Yes.
And then obviously through COVID is where we found that transition.
Yep.
And it could have been a mixture of people working from home.
Yep.
That all changed during COVID, that shift actually happened. But prior to 2019, around that 2016 time when I obviously first bought in, there wasn't as many homes as there are now. Yep. Right. So
when you say not as many homes because there was no like Schofield.
Schofield wasn't developed yet.
Ponds.
The Ponds was there.
Yeah, but not was it as developed or
it was the Ponds was pretty much towards the end of the development. Schofield's hadn't been done.
Yep.
Riverston hadn't been done.
Correct.
And also the new Rouse Hill, only the first 3 or 4 streets were done. But
that's Tallawong, right?
No, I'm talking about the new Rouse Hill, which is opposite the town centre. Right. Okay. So that part hadn't been done either. So that all started happening around 2017, 2018.
Right.
So around 2016, a lot of those suburbs like Tallawong, Marsden Park, Schofields, bit of that Rouse Hill, also the apartments on the other side of Rouse Hill.
Yep, correct.
There was nothing there.
Yep.
So I guess you can say the pond was a little bit smaller.
Yep.
But when that all started to develop, and then, around 2018, 2019, that's when the transition that we found a lot more families come into the area as there were more supply.
Right. Do you think a lot of those areas right now are being rented out, or what is it?
It's probably in the beginning, they were all rented out.
Right.
Virtually, like it was a very high, and that's when we had that influx of Chinese money coming into the country. Around that 2016, 2017, a lot of off-the-plan purchases.
That's right, because they would have signed the contract back to 16, to 17, but the land settlement wouldn't be happening until a few years after that.
Correct.
And the build, 1 year after that.
Correct. And majority were Chinese buyers at that time.
Because I know for a fact that, where the pocket is right next to Rouse Hill, where Bascule Street, I remember, I reckon if I look up the data around that area, 60% of the homeowners there, all Asians, all investors, all Asian buyers.
All Asians. That's correct.
Right.
That's correct. And that was the same around Schofields as well. That was all that same time around that 2017, 2016 off the plan purchases. So that's starting to transition now a little bit, especially in Schofields. So that's starting to change with the type of investors. It's actually going more towards owner-occ around that area. Whereas, 4 or 5 years ago, that was mainly investors. Rouse Hill itself still hasn't changed in that little pocket. It's still majority investors. But I think as time changes, that's going to eventually become more of an owner-occ area. So,
I mean, obviously there's been a big shift in the market the last 12 to 18 months. It's a big change in the market. It's peaked, it's gone down. Now it's slowly picking again, all right?
You're referring to the sales market?
But the sort of sales, right? The sort of sales, right? Even the property management, right? But let's talk about sales market right now, okay? What do you think has been the biggest change the last few months? right? Because we normally expect the house prices to drop when the rates have gone up so up, right?
Traditionally, that's the case.
Exactly, right?
That's what data tells us.
Why do you think the market actually hasn't dropped as much as buyers expected to, or anyone expected?
Number one, supply.
Yep.
Supply. That's
And
the
what do
issue.
you think the problem is?
And
Why are people not selling?
I think unless people haven't felt that pressure with all the rates going up, which is probably starting to happen now. Let's be honest. It's probably starting to happen. But in since May last year, when the rates started to go up, I think people coming out of that COVID boom that we had, I think a lot of people geared themselves up, especially people on 1.8, 1.9, 2% interest rates. I think a lot of people cashed themselves up pretty well. And I think they just sort of weathered the storm through the increase of rates. And that's probably the main reason why properties didn't come on the market. As simple as that. And I think there was a period of time there, which would have been around June till December last year, where we felt the market took a bit of a hit. I think buyers who bought in that time were quite lucky at that time. And coming into January of this year, we felt we're going to be in for a tough year. As far as properties are concerned, a further decline. But the opposite happened.
It has, exactly.
From January, it just went the other way.
Exactly right. Because even for the mortgage broking business, we still see people buying.
Correct. And it's just supply.
Right.
No one's putting their homes on the market. It's simple as that. So that's economics 101, I guess.
Yeah. And so have you seen any areas that have seen more sales? I mean, obviously, there's not as many properties for sale as we expected. But are you seeing any increase in properties being on sale in certain areas around the hills? Box Hill, for example?
Yeah, Box Hill would probably be the most one. More supplies coming on the market, but that's because there are newer homes. A lot of builders are putting stock on the market.
Okay.
People who are looking to flip stuff. So that's why that supply is there. But also they are getting sold as well. So they are, the supply is still not great, but in comparison to other suburbs like Rouse Hill, which is a fairly established suburb, there's more homes that are turning over in Box Hill, only because they're new. There's a lot more infrastructure going out there at the moment. So people are turning them over a lot quicker.
So let's talk about average days on the market for sale. Yeah, because I know. Look, I put you in because we want to talk more about property management. But because you've been in the Hills area for a very long time, I want the audience to understand what's happening in the Hills area. Okay, so now let's talk about the Hills area sales. All right, what's the average time on the market? Would you say that's happening right now?
Probably anywhere between 25 to 28 days.
And what's the average? I mean, what's average? I mean, let's say, supply was not a problem. Right. What is the normal?
The normal has always been around 40 days.
Right.
When we have a normal market. When the market is got a lot of supply, 40 days is at the average. When the market is where there's less supply in the market and the demand's quite high, then you're ranging in between 2 weeks to 3 weeks.
And what sort of buyers? I mean, now start of October, 2023. What sort of buyers are you sort of seeing coming into the market around the Hills area?
Mainly young families that are coming into the area, especially after those school catchments. Which is very important to a lot of buyers as well.
And let's talk about the school catchments. Right, what school catchment are you talking about?
Well, we've got Ironbark. Ironbark's in Kellyville, North Kellyville, which is close to Belmont Hills as well. So that's a very popular school that everyone goes for. Another one is Riverbank in the Ponds, which is another school catchment that people tend to gravitate towards. So those are the main, on each side of Windsor Road that people tend to gravitate towards.
Hey, let's talk about house prices.
Yes.
Right. So you got one side of Windsor Road. Which is the Blacktown side. And just across the road is the hillside. Right. Now I'm going to use an example. Let's go Kellyville Ridge. Kellyville Ridge, Nixon Macca's, right? That's Blacktown Council. If I walk across the road, which is only 20 minutes, that's the Hills area, right next to Rouse Hill. Right. What is the actual, would you say, is the price difference, percentage-wise, just across the road?
It's probably like 50 to 70 grand. Depending on the home.
But so you're talking about close to about 10% difference.
Almost.
Just across the road. Just because of the Hills area.
Correct.
So in other words, are you seeing more value with that side of
the hills?
Let's call it Stanhope Gardens, Kellyville Ridge, Glenwood. Do you see more value dollar for around the area?
Because you're getting the same sort of stuff. Right? You're getting the same block, maybe similar size house, and you're paying 10% less. Roughly.
Yeah.
Look, some could look at it that, but it comes back down to personal preference.
Yeah.
As to what a buyer is. See, I've been in hills since I was a baby,
Yeah.
so I can be very biased, and for me, I couldn't live on that side of Windsor Road.
Yeah.
And that's how a lot of buyers do feel.
Yeah.
It's just, you sort of grow up to something and you just feel like that's your home. Like
Yep.
the hills is where it is.
Yep.
It's more leafy.
Yeah.
Is what I
True. That is true. Yeah.
which is probably a good thing. More leafy. There's more parks.
Yep. True.
The council a little bit more proactive as opposed to the Blacktown side.
Because Blacktown's so big, right?
It's massive. It goes all the way, like virtually from the actual Blacktown CBD and Prospect and all the way back to the northwest.
Yep.
So it crosses over between west and northwest. So, but the hills it's just somewhere where a lot of people do prefer.
Yeah.
As opposed to the Blacktown side. But then again, like I said, if it's coming down to dollars is what you're after, then
Value for money.
is the other side, 100%.
Yeah. Now let's talk about now you probably obviously are all over what's on sale around the area.
Yeah.
All right. And I want to touch a bit on building brand new properties.
Yeah.
People that bought land,
Yeah.
right, registered, settled on it, now looking to build. Okay. Because of the building costs, that's gone up substantially. You probably know yourself.
Yeah.
It's probably gone up 20, 30, 35% the
Yeah.
last 24 months.
Yeah.
Are you seeing more people reluctant to build and just want to flip the land?
Yes, that was happening early in the year where land sales were very, very tough.
Yep.
Where buyers tend to veer away from that.
Okay.
They felt like it was cheaper just to buy something established.
Yep.
And that helped the established market as well.
Yep.
Even though the supply was low, that also helped with those prices. So yes, that did happen. But now we're finding that it's settling down a little bit.
Okay.
With construction, things are a lot more easy to source.
Yep.
Trades have loosened up a little bit, so it's easy to get trades now. So people now are starting to go down the path back towards building. Nowhere near what it was, before.
Yep.
But it's certainly coming back again.
And that's probably what contributed to the house prices increasing,
definitely.
right?
Because everyone,
people were paying a premium
correct.
for renovated houses or brand new houses because they don't want to go through the trouble
correct.
of building
Correct.
and delaying building.
Correct.
I got a client that signed a contract with, let's call it a mainstream builder. I don't want to badmouth any builders out there.
sure.
Okay. They signed a contract 18 months ago. And to date, they still haven't started construction.
Yep. That's
To date,
and
18
that's
months.
the thing. And that's happening with a lot of builders.
And this is a major builder as well.
Yeah.
It's everyone will know this builder.
Yeah.
All right, so let's touch back on property management side.
Yes.
Okay. Now, obviously, you're one of the biggest franchises in Australia.
Yep.
Australia or New South Wales?
You can probably say a bit of Australia. We're top 4.
Yeah, you're top 4, right? Yeah. So obviously, you signed up with Raine and Horne or long-term contract under the franchise for a reason.
Yep.
Why is that? Instead of going independent.
Yeah. Interesting.
I mean, as a vendor.
Yep.
Why would I choose a franchise?
Yep.
A well-known franchise.
Yep.
Over an independent office.
Okay. Very good question. So from my point of view, what a franchise brings is the systems and procedures that are always changing as the market changes.
Yep.
The systems are always going to change and we've got to adapt to it.
Yep.
Whereas being an independent, you're probably going to be a bit delayed in adapting
Okay.
to various, systems and procedures.
Okay.
So that's where I find the biggest difference between the two. And look, there's some great businesses out there that are independent,
Correct.
that are doing very, very well.
Correct.
But for me, I rather focus on doing the actual business of real estate, as in transacting real estate.
Yep.
Both whether it be property management or sales.
Yep.
As opposed to adapting my procedures and systems.
Yep.
And taking me away from that focus of what's important.
So you just want to focus on what you're doing best.
Correct. And then I've got head office that are doing that stuff for me, the systems, procedures, and adapting from head office.
Yep.
So I'd rather let's look after and focus on what's important.
Yep. I mean, for a vendor that's, how should I say it? As a vendor choosing a franchise over independent office, would I be better protected under a franchise in comparison to an independent office?
Well, as a biased answer, then yes, because I think there's going to be a lot more systems in place to prevent any issues or anything going wrong.
Yeah.
So, and the name's important. It's been around for, over 140 years.
Yep.
So that's also, got some sort of credibility in itself.
Because essentially if you do something wrong or outside the books,
There's accountability.
there's accountability. I can go up to the head office and go, hey,
100%.
this franchise done
Yes.
this and this and this.
Correct. And
Right?
there's accountability.
And they'll give everybody
Yes.
that's attached to the business name
Correct.
a bad name.
Correct.
I'm not saying all independent franchises are bad because I know like you said, there's some really, really good ones out there.
Correct.
Right? Why if I go to, independent franchise,
Yep.
not independent office,
Yep.
and they do something bad, well, there's no head office for me
There's
to complain
no one to talk
the
to.
only one I can really complain to is fair trading,
Fair trading. That's it.
right? And that will probably cause me a bit of headache itself.
Correct. It's a longer
process.
Correct. Longer process. They'll take you for a loop around. More information got to be provided. Whereas with us, there's head office, corporate body. You talk to them. They'll come to us and try to sort it out or resolve the issue. So I think that's where a lot of our owners find comfort. Dealing with a bigger brand. Is there's some trust in that brand.
Yeah, like I said to you, right? I've dealt with we had properties reviews. Right. We had properties down southwest that obviously you can't look after. Right. And I can tell you it was talking cheese.
Correct.
In comparison to an independent office and a franchise office that knows what they're doing. Like you guys give us reports every 6 months.
Correct.
Why? I'm not going to name this agent, all right? He hasn't done anything bad yet, but he gives me a report maybe once a year if I'm lucky.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. He both charges same.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But he hasn't done anything bad yet, so I really can't. Right. So that's the thing, right? So let's talk about different agencies, right? You see, everyone has their own costs. Everyone has their own costs. I've seen advertisement on buses around the hills area where some agents are charging 3% plus GST, and that's very low. That's very low because I know the average in Sydney is around 5 plus GST.
Correct.
That's the average. Some might go up to 6%, but the average is about 5 plus GST. But how can it sustain a business charging 3%? That's number one, right? Obviously, as a consumer, some people want to find the cheapest as possible, especially with these high interest rates, right?
Human nature as well.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, what are the pitfalls that you've seen? Or you can comment on where, hey, cheap is not always the best.
It happens all the time. We might pitch for business where we're approached by a landlord. And we've given our fees and charges and what we do for those fees and charges. And then another agent X is also pitched for the same business. And they've gone in at what you say is 3.3. And we actually lost that business based on fees. 6 months later, we'll end up with that business. It's happened so many times.
Business.
And that's the best business, right? So number one, you said it earlier, 3.3 is not sustainable from a business point of view, and it's not. Because there's a certain amount of expenses that it costs to run a business, right? So 3.3, you got to also understand what is that agency doing to be able to charge 3.3. So what is not getting done is the question. Are the routine inspections getting done?
Exactly what you said at the start. Right?
Exactly.
Are you getting all of that?
Correct.
For 3% plus GST?
Are you getting regular rent reviews done? Is the tenant in arrears and are they being following up? Are they just putting anybody into a home because they don't have systems like Ticker and these sorts of tenancy database to check? So you got to ask yourself those questions to save. Let's put it down to the last cent. To save maybe $20 a week. Are you prepared to jeopardize your most valuable asset? So those are the things where, a lot of landlords need to consider. And it does happen. They do tend to go for a cheaper agent. But it later results coming back to us in the end anyway.
And what's the process of changing agencies?
Depending on what's in the agreement that's signed with the agency at the time, there's normally a termination clause anywhere between 60 to 90 days notice. So if a landlord would like to move to another agency, the landlord must provide, let's call it 60 days notice to that agency. Whereas after the 60 days, then the nominated agency can go pick up the file and the keys from there. And then transfer it over.
How much bad blood is it when you're picking up a file from another
agency?
agency?
It's not bad blood. It's actually quite fun.
Is it?
It's okay.
But you guys around the hills area, look, I know a lot of names around the hills. I don't know them personally, but I know their names, I know their faces because I'm always looking at real estate agents. But I'm pretty sure most of you guys are pretty friendly to each other.
Right? We're all colleagues. We're all in the same industry.
Yeah.
We're all dealing, with the same, sorts of scenarios. So we all, have a chat.
Because I've seen you say hi, talk to other agencies
all the time.
All the time.
Yeah, all the time.
Around the town centre.
Yeah, definitely.
Right?
Yeah.
So, you guys don't have bad blood.
No, there's no bad blood. It's just business.
It's just business, right? At the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
you take a bit of fees, he takes a bit of yours.
That's it.
It evens out.
It evens out. So, what you lose on the merry-go-round, you pick up on the swing.
So with property management,
Yep.
what are some of the misconceptions out there in the market as a new vendor that's leasing out his property?
Yep.
What are some of the main questions you get
Yep.
as a new vendor
Yep.
that's putting the property out in the market?
Well, number one, they want to know what it's worth.
Yeah.
Right? That's probably the biggest thing.
Yeah.
It's always more than what the market is, which is okay. It's it's human nature.
Yep.
So we tend to, try to, manage their expectations the best we can. Who the type of tenants that they're after, which is important from them. So some landlords want to be very, very involved in the application process when selecting an applicant.
Yep.
They would like to know a lot of things about the applicant. So those are probably the two biggest asked questions that we get.
Yep.
From a landlord, and obviously the ways that we can mitigate any potential losses if they were to occur with a tenancy. For example, any damage to the property, any arrears that may arise, things like that. So there are assurances available out there in the marketplace that a landlord can get, like landlord's insurance.
Yep.
Companies like EBM, Real Cover, things like that, who are out there supply landlord's insurance.
Yep.
So those are the things that landlords want to have some sort of security, knowing that, if anything were to go wrong, that the property is looked after.
Yep.
So we recommend those sorts of things as well.
Yep. Okay. It's fun how you touch a bit on expectations and reality market price, right?
Yes.
I can say, hey, I want 750, but market value is only 650.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Obviously, you get that a lot.
Yes, all the time.
How do you manage that? I mean, what sort of evidence do you actually provide to a client?
Yep.
Where, hey, no, it's really worth only 650.
Yeah. Okay. So we tend to bring up like-for-like comparables.
Okay.
So similar house size, similar block size within a 500 meter radius within that property. So we'll bring up at least 4 recent properties that have been leased to give them an understanding as this is what has been leased in the marketplace. We'll also give examples on what's currently on for offer as a like-for-like, and give them an understanding. So if they're all screaming at you at 650, it's hard to,
ask for 750,
750,
right? Because
right? Yeah,
you have to remember, vendors have to remember, if you keep delaying leasing the property out for weeks by weeks by weeks by weeks, just for the extra $100 a month,
it's going to cost you a lot more.
Sorry, it's going to cost you a lot more.
A lot more.
Right?
Correct. And the way we try to get them to understand is, look, great, we can ask for 750, but it's going to sit in the market for a month, right? So we try to work them and say, look, why don't we ask for 690, 680, somewhere a little bit closer to the mark, and then perhaps we can
review later.
Yeah, correct.
Right,
correct,
especially last 12, 14 months when rate's gone up.
Correct.
Right, you can ask for rent review because I had a rent review as well.
Yeah.
Right, and it helped me dramatically.
Yeah, definitely.
Now let's touch a bit on that now.
Yep.
So what are the rules with rent rises?
Yep.
Right, rent increases. Rent increases.
So you're allowed one increase, one per year.
Right.
Right, as per the lease agreements that are in place.
One per year.
Yes.
While the lease agreement is in place.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So after every 12 months, you can do another rent review.
Right. That's on the assumption that they want to stay.
Correct.
Right. If they don't want to stay, then
they can vacate. They can notice to vacate, and then obviously we'll go back to market rent and see where it's at.
Right. Okay. So so let's touch a bit. What was the because I know New South Wales. I'm not too sure if I want to bring this in or not. Okay. But I'm not too sure if New South Wales fair trading or whatever I call it.
Yeah, fair trading.
Put a stop on how much you can increase your rent by as a percentage.
No,
Was
I
that
think
correct?
you're referring to rental bidding.
Right, that's right. It is. That's what it is.
So rental bidding was outlawed.
Yep.
It was happening when the market tightened up, where rents started to go up dramatically, where agents were encouraging tenants to bid. On
like a silent auction,
or which was frowned upon. So fair trading put a stop to that. So now you can't just ask for a range between what rent you're after. Let's say 650 or 700. You'll need to put a fixed price on it. On the advertised price.
Right.
If a tenant chooses to increase their their rent, they must put on the application.
Okay.
So an agent can't physically be involved
Yep.
in that decision making.
Yep.
So if a property is advertised at 700,
Yep.
an agent can't just say, look, if you give us 720, we'll take it to the owner and get it done for you.
Gotcha.
They can't encourage it. So
gotcha.
if a tenant says, look, we really love the house, we really want it, we're happy to pay more, all they're obligated to do is just put whatever price you're prepared to pay
Right.
on the application.
Right. So, for example, my house is advertised for 600.
Yep.
Yeah. I have 3 parties that's
Yep.
very interested.
Yep.
Okay. Like you said, they're willing to pay more overs.
Yep.
So you can tell them, hey, look, you just put 620, 630, 650, whatever you want to pull it, and we'll make our decisions based on that. You wouldn't go back to the tenant and go another potential tenant and go, hey, I'll make put 630 and you're gonna increase it. Yeah,
No,
that's what you're trying to say.
No. So we wouldn't even suggest any price.
Yeah.
We would just, if they say, look, we're happy to pay more,
Yeah.
we wouldn't even suggest to put a higher price. We'll just say, just put what you feel the home is worth to you.
Yep.
And we'll put it to the owner. It's simple as that.
So, mate, look, now, like I said, it's October 2023.
Yep.
Right, you've seen the market drop a bit and now it's gone back up.
Yep.
I think the news just came out. I think New South Wales, Sydney prices went up by about 10% from the bottom. Right.
Correct.
What do you see is going to happen around the market?
Yep.
Let's talk about sales.
Yep.
Okay. In next, let's call it 6 to 12 months. What are you predicting, or what are you seeing?
I think we will see a little bit more supply coming to the market between now and probably March next year.
Yep.
More
And why do you
supply.
think that?
I think we're getting towards that time where I think the pressure is on now,
Okay.
where people are probably feeling it.
Are you having more conversations with
We're
with
starting
vendors?
to.
Okay.
A lot of people looking at downsizing
Yep.
their mortgages,
Yep.
Things like that. And I think from what I could gather by speaking to other agents as well, that is sort of the census we're experiencing at the moment.
Yep.
So I think supply will start to increase
Yep.
between now and I think the market will just level itself between now and March.
Yep.
And I think we'll have that momentum going into probably the winter months.
Okay.
And then once rates, which we're all expecting around late 24 to start coming down, I think once interest rates do start coming down, we'll start to see a little bit more buyers coming back into the market as well.
Yep.
Where prices will probably have that swing momentum
Right. So
back
you-
up again.
So you expect a little bit, tiny bit of a hard time for vendors in the next 12 months?
I think we'll have a bit more of a normality of a market
Okay.
because obviously we're experiencing shortage of stock.
Yeah.
I think supply will increase. We're going to go into a normal market.
Yeah.
Where prices will just hold.
Yep.
If anything, I don't see them going down. I think they'll just hold.
Yep.
As we go into that March period, and I think as we go into winter and then the back end of the year,
Yep.
it all depends on what the RBA does. If they choose to
Yep.
start bringing rates down, then that will encourage more buyers into the market, which will obviously help with with demand.
Are you having more conversations with investors or owner occupiers?
A bit of both.
Yep.
Yeah, a bit of both.
So do you think they over capitalize themselves with that in
It
one way?
depends on when you bought.
Yep.
So a lot of the people who are bought probably around 21, 22
Yeah. Would it be hurting?
will be hurting. I think they've paid big money for homes
Correct.
at that time.
And the rates were very low back
and
then
rates
too.
were very low back then.
Right.
So if you're paying rates, I don't know, let's say an average of $1.5 million and you're paying 2% back in 21, 22, and now you're sitting at what, 6%, 5.8,
close to that.
6%.
It's close to that.
Big whack.
Yeah, I know.
So I think those people are the ones that we're talking to.
Yep.
That are probably looking at maybe downsizing that mortgage down from 1.5 to maybe around $1 million.
Yep.
So that's the conversations that we are having with a lot of people, and it all depends on what's going to happen the next with the RBA. To be honest,
I mean, even at your open homes on sales.
Yep.
Are you seeing less people coming into the doors, or what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag.
Yep.
I think it depends on what areas.
Yep.
Like if you're looking at areas like, Kellyville, Rouse Hill, the numbers are quite strong.
Okay. And what price ranges are you seeing around those?
Okay, anywhere between 1.5 to 2 mil.
Wow. So people still want to spend.
Still strong,
Yeah.
right? And then if you're looking at areas like maybe Box Hill, Schofields, if you're looking at, around that under 1.5,
Yep.
it's a bit patchy.
Yep.
So
Schofield's under 1.5, around the 1.5 even.
yeah, it's crazy. People want to buy there.
Yeah. It was in the area, isn't it?
Yeah, correct. And it's close to 2 stations. Like you got Schofield stations, you got Tullawong station as well. The location's fantastic.
Yeah. Just to summarize, you're seeing the market. You're expecting the market to normalize in the next 12 months.
Correct.
Yeah,
Correct.
Which is a healthy market.
Yeah, correct. Before we start seeing rates drops and
Yeah.
things like that, then we can reassess from there. But
Yeah.
I think it will go into more of a normality of a market.
Legend.
Yeah. One anything else?
So Raz,
Yes.
mate, I've really enjoyed this chat today.
Yep.
All right. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So just so our audience will know,
Yep.
how can they find you, buddy?
Well, I'm available obviously online or email or phone. So
On Raine and Horne Rouse
yeah,
Hill.
Raine, Horne, Rouse Hill. All our particulars there on our website. So
Yep. Check
feel
out the
free to
team because he's got a very big team as well.
Yep, definitely. Social media, Instagram, Facebook, we're all there. So
Lovely.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, buddy.
Beautiful. Nice to have you, and I'm sure we'll catch up again soon.
100%, buddy.
No worries. Thank
Thanks,
you.
buddy.
Thanks.